Friends and comrades, welcome to the another edition of International News. Today, I'm happy to announce that we have a very important guest from Poland, Professor Malgorzata Bonikowska, who teaches in University of Warsaw, and she heads a center called Center for International Relations. She was here on the occasion of this annual event, Raisina Dialogue, representing her country and her center. So I'm going to ask her a few questions about what really happened in Raisina Dialogue and what is her takeaway from this big event that happens in our country. Professor Malgorzata, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure. Now tell me that Raisina Dialogue, I think you have been coming to India, and you are kind of a friend of India, but Raisina Dialogue may be your first participation. So what was your overall impression?
No, I participate in Raisina regularly. I think it was my 7th time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But yes, for us it's a moment where we can really come and hear the voices from India, from global south countries, and also there are a lot of Europeans and Americans and Russians coming here. So for us it's like a hearing global dialogue happening in Delhi. My takeaway this year was that, first of all, the West is seen as very divided. Unlike earlier, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had a very clear united stand, especially in case of Russian-Ukrainian war. This year we have a lot of issues between Europe and US because of the President Trump's administration decisions. So the West, yes, is worried, but in the same time it takes a lot of actions. Europeans mobilized, and now we have a lot of changes inside the European Union and cooperation with the UK again. Also in case of war in Ukraine, but also otherwise we just remodel the whole pattern of the European Union. So we were trying to talk about these phenomena during Raisina, but we also discovered that it's not really very well known. Asian, Indian perspective on the affairs is focusing on US and Russia, and Europe is less visible. But hopefully, thanks to events like Raisina, we can present our views. We can also present it through experts and our politicians. From Europe, we had several ministers, ministers of foreign affairs especially, but also ministers of defense. We had from Poland the Secretary of State, the Deputy Foreign Minister, Bartoszewski, who came. And we also had a very good presence from my region, Central Eastern Europe, not only Poland, but Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Hungary, Slovakia, Slovenia. So it was, visibility was there. My concern is only that while India now is definitely rising as a global power, if India really plays as a global power. As of now, Americans and Chinese seem to construct a bipolar world, and Russia, India, Europe are in the second class. What we think in Europe is that between Europe and India, it shouldn't be really the case that we are out of the major discussions. Europe and India are definitely global players, and we should, together with our Indian friends, try to not only be visible, but sit at the table and shape this new international order together.
Thank you. It's quite heartening to learn that Europe is now rising to the occasion, and I believed, like you do believe, that India has the potential and I think playing below its belt. Likewise, I have been a passionate advocate of the European Union, and European Union and Union of India, because of their similar structure, political and social structure, they should come together, and that's perhaps happening. And now, under your government's presidency, European Union presidency, things might take shape because Poland has to play a crucial role, particularly in the event of the Ukraine war. But let me tell you, out of the 6 thematic sessions that I looked at, one was about the peace and the planet. So were you happy with the deliberations there that India and Europe and other players, like you mentioned, they are actively contributing to the peace process and not just bystanders? of Putin and Trump negotiations?
First, thank you very much for recalling that Poland is indeed now taking the presidency to the EU Council, which gives us 6 months of being like a chair of all the EU discussions. Within the European Union, as you know, it's 27 members. Poland is one of them. Has been 20 years we are in this club, and it's the second time we lead the EU. So we use this momentum to change a little bit or to have an impact on European agenda. First, we want to stress importance of security as a word, as a problem, as a challenge for Europe. So security is very much stressed by the Polish presidency. Security in the larger term, not only military-wise, but also security understood as food security, health security, energy security, and economic security. So we believe Europe, as far as this, is really changing, is doing much more into reorganizing the way we function as societies, as countries, to be able to be resilient and to be ready for any threat which may come. In our case, the major adversary is now Russia, of course, because of not only war in Ukraine, but also because of the imperialistic Russian politics against the West. For Putin, the West is an enemy. So, of course, Europe is in the West. In the same time, the discussions in Raisina may not really fully reflect our discussions in Europe. There was one panel where there were only Russians and Americans put together discussing, you know, the future, let's put it this way, not only the peace, but the future of the relations. So we definitely don't agree that that this topic is just in the Russian and American hands. There were also panels with the Europeans taking the discussion, for example, about the future of Europe and European Union. But we don't think really is only a European problem. The peace is a problem of all of us. And what I think we could, for the next Raisina maybe, work on is a discussion where we discuss global challenges in the mixed group, Americans, Europeans, Indians, and we are open maybe even with Russians or with the Chinese. Chinese, by the way, are not really very visible at Raisina for obvious reasons. Unlike Russians, who are much more present. But I think in the New World Order, Europe and India both are having the same interest. We should be in the discussions. We should be not only in the panels, but we should be in the global discussion on not only peace in Ukraine or peace in the Middle East, but generally the shape of the world of 21st century.
Thank you very much, Professor Bonikowska, for sparing your time. We are much obliged and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much for having me, and all the best.
Thank you so much.